Right back out of here on the early line. It's a SportsGrid Network and college football. Did you love week 0? Did you even love week 1 more? Week 2 is on deck. Now, do we have this sort of titanic battles that we saw in week number 1 for week number 2? No, we don't. But the surface is going to start to level right now. But we do have a new AP top 25 poll that has been released. Ohio State, the new number 1 team in the nation, followed by Penn State, LSU, Georgia. And look at that. The Miami Hurricanes, after knocking off the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, now appear at number 5. And also, Joe, as I teased before the break, the return of the state of Florida here. How about Miami at number 5? How about the Florida Gators at 13? How about the Florida State Seminoles at 14? Football is better when the big 3 in the state of Florida are kicking some butt.
Amen to that, Donnie. I mean, unranked to now the number 14 team in the country was Florida State. You knew whoever was going to win that game between Miami and Notre Dame, there was going to move up a couple of spots there at the very least. But LSU moving up 6 spots as well. Now the number 3 team in the country here. I think very interesting because teams like Oregon and Georgia, well, they haven't really played anybody yet. Penn State's got 2 more cupcakes before it goes there. But it'll be interesting to see here what we get. But that top 10, it's kind of hard to argue with, Donnie. I think those are the 10 best teams in the country right now.
Let me ask you a question on this, too, because I look at Florida State at 14. Unheralded coming into the season. Yes, they had a great victory over Alabama. We'll see how good Alabama actually is. But when I look at Miami, the expectations were somewhat high, right? Okay, they'll be a good football team entering into 2025. Same thing we probably thought with the Florida Gators. But the Florida State Seminoles were a bit of a surprise in week number 1. Is that the real Florida State Seminoles, or is that just, hey, we caught a team that wasn't prepared in game number 1, we played a good game, and away we go? What's the sentiment on Florida State staying, Joe, for you in the top 25 this season?
Well, I mean, listen, it won't take long for us to figure it out here with Florida State. But I for the first time since that big run that they had that unfortunately ended with their quarterback getting hurt, but that was, to me, regardless of the players, we always knew they had athletes. The Florida State, whether good or bad, off a 2-win year, is going to have one of the best recruiting classes, is going to have football players. The big question I've always had with that program is the coaching really up to par? And I got to tell you, to have that many new faces coming off the kind of year they did, for that coaching staff with a new quarterback, new OC, and new everything, for them to have those kids ready like they did against an Alabama, I can't help but to think that maybe good days are ahead here for Florida State.
We'll see what happens, or if there's good days ahead for Clemson and LSU. I always like the post-game pressers and how these coaches actually answer questions. We got some answers here. We need some, I guess, on what Dabo Swinney was talking about on them losing to LSU.
I mean, if we make the first tackle, I mean, Wade's got the guy. He's got, I mean, I don't even know how his knee didn't go down, but he, you know, without that run, I mean, like I said, the last 58 minutes is 2.8, and that is a physical group. It's a very smart quarterback, and that is a back. So they're going to be a problem, and they got some explosive dudes, and it was a hell of a game. It was a hell of a game down the last play, right out of the gate. It's like getting the final exam day 1 of class. They made a 65, we made a 58. Neither one of us were great.
The grading right there. Before we get a rebuttal from you, Joe Ranieri, let's check out also what we had to hear from Mr. Brian Kelly on that answer for what Dabo Swinney had.
We dominated him in the second half. So he's either a really good grader for, giving himself a 58, or he's a really hard grader on us, or he didn't see the second half, which that might be the case. He might not have wanted to see the second half.
But these two coaches are just some of the worst to listen to, by the way. Like, does anybody love Dabo? Does anybody love Brian Kelly? And these two guys dueling back and forth, Joe, come on.
Well, at least he doesn't have a Louisiana accent. I got to tell you this. That was maybe the best mic drop of the season so far there for Brian Kelly. Yeah, apparently he didn't watch it, or maybe he didn't want to watch the second half. Just drop the mic, Coach Kelly, and just walk off the stage, and that's it. That was enough said across the board there, because he's right. It wasn't even close in the second half. LSU was clearly the better team in the second half.
Yes, they were. Clemson had a touchdown lead at the break, didn't score in the second half. LSU did multiple times. They walk away with the victory. And finally, LSU gets that big win opening weekend to sort of catapult their season into the SEC. Oh, let's get after it here. College football. Look, we are excited for tomorrow night's action in the NFL. It's kickoff, the pageantry, the pomp, the circumstance, the banner getting raised there in Philadelphia, and then we kick off the 2025 season. But in college football, Joe, we've already been through 3 weeks, even though this is only technically week number 2, because you have a week number 0 in college football. Make it make sense. It doesn't. It's just the way it is. But we're going to find out here. Michigan and Oklahoma should be a pretty good battle. And if we look at some of the history here with Oklahoma versus Michigan since 2007, which is give or take roughly 20 years, conference championships for Oklahoma, 10. Michigan has 3. Playoff appearances, Oklahoma 4. Michigan has 3. Wins, Oklahoma 172, Michigan 144, and wins against ranked opponents, Oklahoma 46 and Michigan at 27. Now, as I look at this, you see the graphic up there? What's the asterisk for? Is that just like they don't like Michigan? They're poking fun at them cheating and maybe taking away some of those? Like, what would the asterisk be up there for those?
It's a great question. Why even have them at this point? Because it's not like you can't, like the whole, we're going to take away wins. No, you're not. Yeah. Those games were played. They were won. They were lost. You're not taking away wins. Yeah. So, hold on to your asterisks, folks, because nobody really cares one way or the other at this point.
How about the favorites here for Oklahoma, though? Opened up at 2.5 at FanDuel. Now FanDuel has 5.5. Looks like DraftKings 4.5. BetMGM 5.5. Bet365 5. Westgate 5.5. So, with the decided favorite for Oklahoma, is this just one of those cases where, okay, both of these teams played. Now we'll find out what they're about. It's a top 20 battle. But Michigan's got a rookie, basically freshman quarterback who's going to go on the road for the first time in a hostile environment. Is that the way we're looking at it? And also the total. Very low to me at 45.5, but that's indicative of what we saw week number 1 with some of the big teams and the big games. Not a lot of scoring, but that was, Joe, because most of the time those teams were coming into a top 20 battle versus each other. And that's not the case. You had 2 teams play last week, 2 teams going to play this week, but a game already under their belt. Do we see more points?
Yeah, and well, you know what else? He is, that freshman quarterback there, Bryce Underwood from Michigan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's also a millionaire now. Welcome to the NIL era, which, like it or not, 18-year-olds dropped with a heck of a lot of money in there. Boy, I tell you, it changes people, Donnie, and it's a new reality that we better get used to in college football, because look at the kid from UCLA, former Tennessee quarterback, making millions of dollars. You really think he cares? They got absolutely embarrassed and trounced over there against Utah this week. I'm just saying, keep that in mind. In the meantime, Brent Venables and OU clearly on the hot seat. Norman, Oklahoma, you want to talk about, you think there's a problem in Tuscaloosa with the fan base. You ought to see what's going on in Norman right now. So Brent Venables, the issue for him has always been that offense. He has not been able to figure out the offense. He's as good a defensive coordinator as you will find. The defense in Norman, they are going to be legit here. So John Mateer is offensive coordinator, former Washington State player and OC there, are now at the helm here. They are going to be much better than what they were a year ago. This kid Mateer is the real deal. A lot of guys think he's a dark horse for the Heisman. I mean, he is absolutely capable. Yeah. Nothing that I saw from Michigan led me to believe that they are going to take a freshman millionaire quarterback into Norman and just run up and down the field on him there. So don't forget, Donnie, 4.5, 5.5. What is the books don't see it? It's no man's land for the books. It's not a key number one way or the other. So if you like OU, lay the number, which is exactly what I did.
And again, it's such a slippery slope in college football shows talking about, like, you can be on the top of that crest for so long. Give it 2 or 3 bad years. You make one bad hired coach. Recruits aren't there, and you slip right off the cliff. We've seen it so many times happen to the bigger programs. I mean, heck, look at Nebraska. Yeah, they sell every single year. Yep. But throughout my childhood in the 80s and 90s, every single year they were in the top 5. Dr. Tom Osborne retires. They never got it back at this point, and it's been 20 years plus. If you're Oklahoma, now you're in the SEC. You don't get the cut, Joe. You don't get the cupcakes every third game. Like, hey, our only big game is Colorado. We'll win 9 games every year. They didn't sign up to go to the SEC and go 500 football. So watch out for Oklahoma. They need this big win to stay on that platform here to keep recruiting, and certainly the sanity here for their head coaching staff as well. But in the next hour, Joe, we're going to get the people caught up on all the hot topics once again. But I'm excited. Like, we didn't have that, as we talked about, that week 1 with 4 or 5 bell cow games. This looks like it's going to be the game of the week. It's a 7:30 game on ABC at night, Eastern time, and I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what Michigan has here in Oklahoma. I want to see if Oklahoma can be for real with another big victory at home. Time will tell, but you know what else the time is for? Hour number 2 coming up next, right here on the Early Line.